And we're live. Hello and welcome to the 130th episode of Hex Therapy Live. I'm your host, Maddie Allen, and we've got a bunch of great topics to talk about tonight. I was hoping to make a joke out of Hex Therapy Live by calling it Ink Therapy Live tonight, and we will certainly talk about the incentive token and what it means for the psychology of cryptocurrency. However, it looks like the other topic that we're going to have to touch on tonight is hex therapy because the community is in an uproar about debating whether eHex and pHex will have parity. And so looks like there are going to be some great topics tonight. So hit the like and subscribe button. Validate the link in the description below where you can get your hardware wallet. I think about 150 of those have been sold so far, and those are people are buying a Trezor because they want to have better security in crypto. So that's certainly what I used and what I would recommend. And so thanks for being here. Welcome to Hex Therapy Live.
It's from Maddie Allen of HexTherapy.live. I like Maddie. Maddie tries to make the world a healthier place. He's a mental health professional. He's done research.
Big videos on sudden wealth syndrome.
There's nothing that a human being could do better than try and heal his fellow man.
Maddie Allen's got that covered. He does emotional, feel-good, mind management, emotion stuff, like, as his gig, because he's a therapist. That's what he does for a living. Like, he helps heal people.
So I feel like it's been a couple of years already since I did a solo stream, and of course it's only been a couple weeks. Everything in crypto moves so quickly. Last week on Thursday, I was hosting the 48-hour live stream, and so that was our special dose of Hex Therapy Live for last week. And then the past 2 weeks before that, I had been traveling and I still did the show from the side of the highway at some rest stops. And so, yeah, really looking forward to taking people's questions today and to be in better lighting here in an Airbnb in Washington, D.C. On a family vacation of sorts, and just really enjoying the fact that the community got to get together last week in Miami and have a meetup that I organized. I'm going to be looking forward to the next meetup and 48-hour live stream that I can host here. You know, when it's appropriate. So make sure to join my Telegram group if you want to find out about all that, or just keep tuning into the show on Tuesday and Thursday nights. Now, the stream that we did on Tuesday was also a blast. Of course, we had myself and Crispy Man and Brissology and Toby One, and the four of us discussed all the things that have been going on in the crypto world since the launch of Pulse Chain. Pulse Chain is what, about a week and a half old or something like that, and you know, already there's been tons to cover. And so I'm really excited tonight to go over what I've been doing and what I've been observing in this historic time in crypto. And uh, certainly excited to hear what your reaction has been. So drop a comment and I'll try to get to it. Yeah, lots to look forward to. And as people are still tuning in, make sure to share this out. Um, So MT Coiner says, let's go. I think I need some ink therapy. Now, the incentive token is something that's been provided. It's been provided to people on a basis that kind of changes. So what a farming protocol is where someone who's created a chain, whether it's Binance Smart Chain or whether it's Pulse Chain, people are incentivizing people to bridge liquidity over. And so that's a pretty advanced topic, and people who are brand new, like, are gonna be much happier probably holding their coins instead of trying to risk losing their coins, by providing liquidity and getting these extra incentives on top. Um, However, people who are much more happy, because maybe they have a whale position or because maybe they like holding two different coins and they don't care uh, what the ratio is, and they're happy to, take a small percentage of their coins and risk them in order to earn some yield. Those are the people who might be incentive farming, and so we'll talk about that tonight. David Morales, good to see you there. He needs all the ink therapy possible. Beautiful. And Freddie Quotes, what's going on? Good to see you. I know you're in the DC area as well. Um, Man, I love a farming ink. Says no name pleb. And Optimality says ink over BTC. Bobby Hexelrod. Farming ink doesn't suck. Money while you sleep, despite all the drama. Pretty cool. So what's the drama? Well, let's see. So farming in the first place is where you take two coins that are being incentivized and you put them into a liquidity pool that can open you up to something called impermanent loss, which means basically, let's say you have a big bunch of apples and a big bunch of oranges, and you put them into a liquidity pool together. What you're doing is you're saying anybody can come along and they can deposit their apples and take out oranges, or they can deposit their oranges and take out apples. And as the ratio of apples to oranges changes based on people buying and selling at any given moment, then you're changing your ratio that you get to pull out of the pool. And in order to make it a good enough deal for people to want to do that, people are getting fees. They're earning liquidity provider fees by putting up their liquidity. And then they're also getting, in this case, an extra token that's created out of thin air that some people are chasing after called ink. And the ink token, I mean, I think it started around maybe like around $5 or something. And then it shot all the way up to 70, and now it's fallen back down to like 40 or $50 per token. And the tokenomics on this, I'm still learning what got put into the final instance of Pulse Chain. But from what I've heard, it's like there are 3 ink tokens, INC tokens created every second, and every so often, like every year, maybe that goes down by 10%. There's some disinflationary schedule that happens, and then the people, whoever is running the incentive farm protocol, whether that's a decentralized organization or it's the creators of the chain, they can create new pairs, and then they can take away the incentives from pairs that have already seen significant adoption by liquidity providers. And so the ink is kind of the bonus on top of what people are getting from the fees that are created by the decentralized exchange. Now, I had not gotten into this whole degenerate gambling world of yield farming before. And so, simply for historical purposes, I wanted to experience what one of these pools was like right when it was starting. And I just so happened to be checking Twitter the other day when Richard Hart was announcing that he was, or that somebody was starting the ink yield farming pool for Bitcoin and for wrapped Bitcoin and wrapped Pulse. And what I observed is that it was only the first 30 minutes that that the yield that Inc was paying out was like 6 million%. And then it sharply fell in the first 30 minutes, basically, as soon as the bridge was able to do its thing. If you had wrapped Bitcoin sitting there anticipating that this could be launched, of course I didn't, but that would have been cool if you did, because the price of wrapped Bitcoin spiked up to like 70 million, or sorry, to $70,000. And Bitcoin is only trading at what, like 23,000, 24,000, somewhere in there. Um, my theory on the reason why this happened is because the starting yield was so good that somebody was willing to pay way more for wrapped Bitcoin that was already on that side of the bridge. For me, I didn't have any wrapped Bitcoin over there. I wasn't thinking that I would buy it off of somebody else because I didn't have any way myself to calculate how long that yield would last. Maybe it was only $100,000 worth of ink that was distributed in that first 30 minutes. So it didn't seem like a good deal for me to be buying wrapped Bitcoin from people who had already bridged it over. But I went ahead and went on Uniswap and traded some of my ETH that I had been diligently saving. I swapped some of that for wrapped Bitcoin. I took some of my pulse that I already had and I wrapped that and I threw it into the yield farm. I don't know, maybe like an hour after it was announced. And at this point, it was down to, I think, like 1,500%, whatever. And started earning my first ink tokens. Well, I guess I had done it on a smaller scale with the hex to hex pairing. More on that here in a second. So, but for me, the psychology was kind of, I wanted to learn what this was all about. I was willing to accept the risk of losing what I had put in, and I figured, well, the price of Bitcoin, maybe that's not going to move so much. I think on that same day, it had moved, I don't know, like actually moved a lot. Maybe Bitcoin had fallen 10%. I'm not sure. But but that also speaks to, like, yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and calculate how much my impermanent loss was. But the way that that would work is that um, the price of wrapped pulse could go down or it could go up. The price of a Bitcoin could go up or down, and the ratio of the two, in fact, could change as well. And so a lot of uncertainty in that mix, and that's why um, i- i- the incentive token value has to be so high to try to compensate people for taking the risk of losing one side of the pair. So, but for me, I was like, well, if I ended up with more wrapped Bitcoin and less Pulse, like, I was willing to take that trade because this was only a small percentage of the Pulse that I own. On the other hand, um, if I ended up giving up more of my wrapped Bitcoin and getting more Pulse, I would be super cool with that too. And then I figured I would have to decide what to do with the ink tokens. Maybe I would maybe I would sell them for something else I wanted, or maybe I would hold on to them. So sure enough, like, the ink came pouring in, you know, whatever. I think the farm was paying like something crazy, like 5% a day. And so that is expected to go down steadily. Now, I had already been doing this for hex to hex on like a smaller scale. I think I'd put like $500 in on each side to test it out, maybe about a week ago. No, maybe about 5 days ago. And that was earning, instead of getting like 1,500%, I think that was earning maybe 300% or 500%, somewhere in there. And that had come down a lot in the preceding days. And the psychology there was that I was thinking to myself, well, uh, you know, I was a little bit more familiar with the ratio of hex to hex, thinking that they would stay pretty similar. Maybe they would change, a little bit. Maybe it would be, 15% more expensive on the wrapped Ethereum hex side. Sorry, the wrapped hex side from Ethereum. or maybe it would be more expensive on the pHex side. But either way, I was I was happy to do this experiment and to see what I would end up with basically, because I could end up with more pHex or more eHex, um, depending on what the market did. And I knew that I would end up with the less valuable one off the bat as a liquidity provider in it, and that's the loss that I would take to be compensated basically with the ink tokens. And so, yeah, sure enough, you can tell I'm learning a lot because even last Tuesday, I was like, I don't really know about yield farming. And now I'm getting a lot more experience with it. And I really appreciate like lots of members of the community who are voicing their opinions. I remember one of the most uh, one of the most informative shows that I've ever done on this YouTube channel was with Wendy's for Tendies. And he was describing yield farming long before Pulse Chain came out and giving his opinions on the risks and the rewards of this. Um, and so, and then, I've heard people make videos recently. I think Fashion Coder made one and she explained like, here's why I'm not yield farming because she had tried it out and had suffered some impermanent loss. I was thinking of steering pretty far away from yield farming myself, and now I've decided that there's a certain percentage in my bag. There's a small percentage that I'm willing to play the game with and see how that goes. However, earlier this morning we saw that the pair between Hex that's bridged in from Ethereum and Hex that's already on Pulse Chain, that farm got eliminated suddenly. It went away. And that led this morning to a lot of speculation in the Hex community as to why the Hex to Hex yield farming pair had disappeared. And I know I watched a video from your friend Sami, and he had been speculating, well, maybe the reason why that disappeared was because it was competing too much with the yields that people are getting from staking Hex. I think that's a pretty interesting theory. I don't know if that's what it was. Um, I don't know how I could know, but yeah, I think that that's certainly something to consider in the game theory of all this. It's like, well, were there a lot of people emergency end staking in order to chase yield from the yield farming protocol? Um, we've certainly seen, uh, I don't know, in the past week or so, we've seen the price of Hex on both sides of the chain drop dramatically. Now, look, I've been so busy running the 48-hour live stream and the Hex meetup in Miami. Uh, I've attended the Bitcoin conference at the same time. I had to get all of that ready for 70 people to do a meetup and then to do having all the people on my channel for the 48-hour live stream and everything, doing all the organization, all the traveling I had to do ahead of time, getting all the merch ready. And then after the conference, packing up the YouTube studio and catching up on my personal life and all those kinds of things. I've been so busy. I haven't been looking at the price that much. It's been super refreshing. And so I'm going to be taking a slightly different perspective than most of the people you're watching. And I think we need everybody's perspective in order to really have a comprehensive view of all this cryptocurrency, uh, all the ups and downs that it's going to bring us, right? Now, I don't know if part of it is because part of my reaction to not being worried about the price of Hex being down. I don't know if it's because I have a little bit of dry powder that's in the mix, and I could certainly see there have been times when I didn't have dry powder during a dip, and I wasn't prepared for it. I wasn't looking forward to it, and so it punches you in the gut that much harder whenever you're not positioned for any eventuality. But we also predicted this, right? That there would be a great volatility between uh, the free copies and everything. Um, I'm still shocked that the copy of Hex on Pulse Chain is not worth like only 10%, or that the eHex version is, not only 10%, because normally when you have a fork, there's like one clear winner, and then everything moves on. But in this case, I really do believe that we have two really functional and useful networks that that people are going to want to accumulate on both sides. Now, we'll get into like more of the drama and everything, but I think there's something to be said about having kind of this mindset going into any debates that you have, uh, about whether eHex and pHex. See, my cap, it just says hex. It doesn't say which hex, right? And that's that's how I like it, is because I like hex on all chains. And I was the unpopular guy saying that I liked hex on Ethereum Fair and ETHW. Um, and I sacrificed a lot of money for those chains. I put my money where my mouth was, and I said, I don't like cheap hex anywhere. So I was buying hex from people who'd gotten it super cheap. I wasn't one of the people who logged in first and got these super low rates on ETHW and ETH Fair. And you guys will remember I did a super long live stream. I streamed for like 30 hours in 4 days or something stupid, um, just trying to cover the Ethereum Fair and the Ethereum proof of work launch. So I'm already biased by that. I lost all this money on ETHW and ETH Fair, and I didn't really blink or bat an eye in that case, because to me, like, hex is hex, and like if the market doesn't pick up on that, well, that's okay. This is, it's a risky situation, but I don't ever put more money into crypto than I realize I can lose. And crypto always goes down 90%, and then it can go up a lot. It doesn't have to go up a lot just because it went down 90%. You're not going to win every single trade that you go for. But believing in Hex, it's served me really well over these years that Hex has existed, the past 3.5 years. So I don't mind sticking with the thing that's treated me the best. And so maybe that's why I'm less anxious about, where we're at with everything. And look, I was looking at the price. I mean, ever since Nomics shut down, I don't look at the price as much. My other cryptocurrency app that I use on my phone to look at the price, like, that's not working either anymore. So that was really freeing, I would say, to like not be looking at the price all the time. But I still look at the price, and I think I saw the price of eHex is like, what was it, like 1.4 cents today, and then it's maybe a little bit more expensive on the Pulse Chain side, like 1.6 or something, or 1.2. The bottom line is, um, that's what crypto does, is it goes up and it goes down. You don't know when it's going to go up and when it's going to go down. And if somebody tells you that they know, you should probably be pretty suspicious of what their take is. I've heard ever since Hex was sitting at 3.2 cents on both sides of the chain, I've heard people saying, oh, Hex is really cheap right now. Hex is really cheap. And I'm just like, there's a voice inside of my head that's like, well, um, somebody doesn't think Hex is cheap because they're selling it. But everybody's got a different timeline. They have different lengths that they're willing to hold. And it's true that relative to historical times, Hex is cheap compared to the past 2 years. Hex is cheap compared to when people were sacrificing. And this, in the end, is creating more opportunity for people who are patient. Remember, part of patience isn't just aping into something all the time. It's really about dollar cost averaging in and dollar cost averaging out of something. So, like, maybe you're constantly building up some dry powder to be able to dollar cost average back into something that you like. And maybe you're doing that during a bear market. Maybe during a bull market, you're dollar cost averaging out of something that you like so that you can buy back in when the price dips. I think I totally underappreciated people who are selling to buy back lower uh, earlier in my crypto observation career because um, to me it was like it's really simple, pretty much only people who are buying are good and everybody who's selling are bad, that kind of thing. Well, if you don't have people putting money on the sidelines to buy back in, then you don't have anybody to support the price. So you kind of need people who have a shorter term and a longer term perspective in order um, to be able to catch these you know these huge opportunities and these huge ups and downs that you're having in cryptocurrency. Again, volatility, do you see it as a feature or do you see it as a bug? And uh, that's one thing that makes cryptocurrency different than legacy finance is you don't have people manipulating the market or making the market move so slowly. And you do get 90% buying opportunities and you do get 10% rips here and there. You should have heard Brandon on the RH Max channel earlier. He was talking about ink a lot and doesn't know why anyone would want to buy it. Yeah, I mean, like, I was pretty neutral on ink when we had our Tuesday show. Shout out to Bristology. Um, and here I am now, like yield farming, and I think that you always have to consider like what people's incentives are to talk about something. If they are owning it, they're more likely to say good things about it. And it's important to have like a critical ear and to think, what is the steel man argument for this? Like, how would somebody attack it? And that's why we love and hate Eric Wall, is he's always bringing up like his own random points. Some of them are idiotic, but some of them, sometimes he has a good point that he brings up. And so we need critics to ourselves be good critical thinkers behind cryptocurrency. I would make the same observation about Hedron. Like, I didn't like Hedron, even though I got a big bag of it for free. And uh, you know, this was very unpopular for me to say anything bad about Hedron. And I was observing everybody saying good things about it just because they had some, not because they thought it, and then people were arguing like, yeah, well, it has merit. And it's like, where are all the people who don't own any Hedron who are stepping up to say like, hey, this makes so much sense? And, eventually maybe you got those people and then it becomes more of an argument of, is it taking anything away from the cryptocurrency that you like the most? If if there's vampire attack or if people are starting to support more and more and more coins, when you start diluting your advocacy and your marketing and all these different things, that if people are talking about more and more coins, it's less and less likely that any one is going to outperform. Um, People like chasing the shiny new thing. And there's a lot of dynamics that are at play. Like if you look at Pulse Chain and PulseX, those both have like really strong engines behind them of what can make them great and make them scarce and disinflationary and super deflationary and all these different things. You've got different amounts of people that are incentivized to talk about them. I think it's okay for people to be incentivized to talk about something because they hold it. but you always have to keep in mind, like, what is their credibility? What is their reliability? Are they going to keep talking about this thing? And when people time like Hex, it makes them likely to keep talking about it. That's why my product of Time Pays Me, I think, is going to be really helpful to the Pulse Chain and Pulse X ecosystem, because it will allow you to time lock your Pulse and your Pulse X tokens. Really, you can time lock any ERC or PRC20 token. And uh, I had a meeting with my developers today where we continue to make really important progress towards getting this thing launched. We want to make sure that we do it right, and there's a huge responsibility on the line to deliver something that has flawless operation. Software is hard, but it's really coming together. I'm really excited about it. Getting ready to pay for a second audit, it looks like, and I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to pay the price to make sure that the product I'm using myself is something that you know is unlikely to have any flaws. So yeah, really exciting times for people to have that superpower of being able to time lock, and then with Time Pays Me, it drips back to you over time on like a weekly basis, or you can collect it less often. Somebody asked on Twitter today, well, is that gas efficient? And I'm happy to report that it's very gas efficient. And some people are thinking, even with Hex, that they'll join a pool party from the Maximus DAO guys. They'll make a 15-year time lock, and then they'll drip a tokenized version of Hex that's earning yield back to themselves over time. And that would certainly be an option. What's going on, Sandip? Maybe I should get a tattoo since I love ink so much. I've been saying that. I can't wait to see the first ink tattoo. And, you know, to anybody who got the magic wand, which was the old the old logo before we got an official logo, which looks more like the cutout of the Pulse X decks. Um, like, that's funny that you're more OG that way if you have the wand, I guess. But I haven't seen any of those. Maybe people switch over to the real thing. Let me see. Here, I can show you the logo really quick if you're not familiar with it. There we go. It's on the therapy couch there next to Hex. See, this is group therapy between all the 4 different RH cryptos. I guess technically there's what, 5. So there you go. Get your ink tattoos now, I guess. Let's see. Lots of comments. Great to see 215 people watching live. And thanks to Hexpert Staker for the $5 super chat and super sticker. Very cool. Let's see. The creator of Pepe cartoon said this month he didn't know Pepe coin existed. He sued for using the image and won. Some are wondering if he will sue for Pepe coin. Interesting. And we're live. Yeah, that's right. Ink farming for the win. So a lot of people feel like they're making good money. And certainly if you participate and then you remove your liquidity and then you're not earning ink anymore, then you know what your impermanent loss was, and you can declare yourself the winner, that maybe you made more than you lost. For me, it's fluctuated. There were times when the pair that I was holding, which is wrapped Bitcoin and wrapped ETH, that they were both down for the day. And so my incentive rewards did not make up for, like, if I had just stayed in Ethereum, I would have made more money. But this was more about learning what this significant part of the ecosystem is about. For me, I was happy to eat a little bit of impermanent loss to as part of my tuition in the school of hard knocks of crypto, right? Um, so yeah, and then now I don't know. I think it's probably about even, but see, I've made, couple $100 of yield here and there, and maybe it won't be that I've gone down in value a couple $100 here and there. But again, that's a risk that you'll take. Are there pairs that people have been yield farming where they've made a lot of money? Do you want to drop the details in the chat here? I promise I don't work for the IRS, but I guess they could be watching too. Hey, Maddie, good to see you there. Happy to be here. Derivative Genius. Drix, good to see you. Nick, farming in fluffy slippers is the best. That's a your friend Sami reference. Maddie sold Hex to pay for the Airbnb. I don't think so. Fluffy slipper gag. That's right. Was the inspiration? What was the inspiration behind the Hex logo? That's a great question, Hawaii athlete. There was a lot of effort that went into the Hex logo. It shows a gradient that has been researched to be one of the most epic gradients of all time. If you read Richard Hart's book, Sci-Vive, he has like a whole chapter that's just talking about the psychology of different colors and different gradients and like all the combinations you can choose from, why this gradient is the best. The hexagon itself is known as a futuristic shape. And there's a couple reasons for that. But if you ever look at anything like a futuristic wallpaper or you watch a sci-fi a sci-fi science fiction movie, it's filled with hexagons all over the place. And then the hexagon, like the three hexagons inside of one is supposed to represent like 369, which is a type of, that's the rate of inflation is 3.69. What else? There are like bees use hexagonal formations for their honeycombs because they can be in nature, it can be fit to get it. Hexagons fit together without wasting any space, whereas like circles whereas other shapes aren't providing as much of a structural value. And so it's clear that Richard and all the people who were contributing to his think tank at the time, they put tons of work into this logo. Do you like it? What are your thoughts on Brian Johnson and his blueprint he shared out for free? Would love to see an interview with him as he is into longevity. I'm not familiar. You'll have to ask him to reach out. Sharing, hey, thanks, Hexbullah. And look, anybody who's out there, maybe you don't want to be a streamer. Maybe you don't care to do it. Maybe it's not your thing. The least you could do is to like hit the like and subscribe button on YouTube and share this out on Twitter. Every time I do a stream, it automatically gets pushed out. People who are not into Hex, they only get to see this and they get to see the numbers behind how many retweets, how many likes something has. Matters to people. People in the industry, I'll get more interviews with big channels and I'll be able to help spread the word better if you do your part by sharing it out, by hitting, all you have to do is hit the little retweet button if you go to twitter.com/MATI ALLin, right? That's super helpful. So I'm going to share the link to my Twitter and that way y'all can help me out there and help yourselves out, really. And shout out to everybody who's already doing that. You guys rock. eHex and pHex liquidity providing can never yield over 3.9% without hurting staking. Fight me, says Rich. Well, that's the big debate that people were getting into today. I think that it could very well be that the price of eHex and pHex dipped even more than it had been dipping today because the yield farm incentive ended. You can imagine that there are people out there who bought eHex and pHex because they saw that as maybe the ratio that would stick together the most. Um, but the fact of the matter is that I think I heard somebody say that all the liquidity on the Ethereum side had moved over to Pulse Chain. And so this yield farming maybe had unintended consequences, um, providing such a high APY for something that already has a competing APY mechanism built into it. That might have affected things here. Um, Only having $5 million of liquidity on the Ethereum side of Hex, and then having $50 million moved over to the liquidity providing side on Pulse Chain, that's a 10x in the amount of liquidity. So whether this is true or not, people will be arguing with Rich over that. But there you go. I could totally see how that would affect each other. And so it might have been the people who had bought eHex and pHex to participate in the yield farming program. They may have sold today because they wanted to trade for coins that still had yield farming incentives attached to them. What's up, Swearworks? Let it go diet. I'm grateful for lunch. Ink makes sense. Looking forward to single-sided staking. Hey, that's a great point. Um, I wonder if there will be more demand for the PulseX token when they open up the pools where people can single-sided stake. And I was incorrect before when I reported that I didn't like single-sided staking because I thought it would set people up for impermanent loss. I've since been educated by members of the community who have told me that single-sided staking comes with no risk of impermanent loss. It's kind of a way for people to market new tokens, because you lock up your PulseX and you earn these new tokens that people have voted on to give away to the people who are locking for the day or whatever. Yeah, so that could give another use case for PulseX than we can see is occurring right now, and that might create more demand for it. So that'd be cool. Just like some of the see, but it's different than the yield farming because you're opening yourself up to impermanent loss. And even if you're choosing pairs that have less potential maybe for impermanent loss, it's still, I think, a totally different risk game. So you'd imagine that the APY would be much lower on the single-sided staking, but who knows? I mean, it all comes down to the value of the tokens that are being given out in that mechanism. So, but it is kind of like an advertising thing. It's like for a coin, instead of buying Facebook ads from a middleman, they could just incentivize people with the single-sided staking mechanism. And they could compete, different protocols compete to give away coins with more value to the stakers, uh, the single-sided stakers of PulseX. So that'll be really exciting to look forward to. We don't know when that's going to start, but that's people have speculated that that will be available because there's a tab on the PulseX decks for that. Can you provide your advice if just getting started? At what point does farming make sense? Should we be focusing less on PLS or PLSX and more on Hex? Yeah, I don't give advice. My observation from my own experience is that, like, if I don't care what happens, that's when I'm providing liquidity. So if I have a small percentage of my tokens, like, and I take my wrapped Bitcoin on one hand and I take my wrapped Pulse on the other, and I put those into the liquidity pool, and I don't care what comes out later. I don't care if I have more wrapped Bitcoin or if I have more wrapped Pulse, and I don't even care that if uh, one of them outperforms, right? I would expect wrapped Pulse to like go down more than wrapped Bitcoin. I would expect it to go up more than wrapped Bitcoin. So I'm really putting my Pulse at risk there. And if I didn't have other Pulse sitting around, then I probably wouldn't want to do that. Um, and then it's like you're getting left behind. But these markets are cyclical and they go up and down and up and down. And so if I saw a huge market swing, I might remove my liquidity because I have just loaded up on the thing that everybody sold. And that's kind of what you want to do is buy low. Um, and then I could remove it from the liquidity providing, and then wait for it to go up and then sell it instead of leaving it in there. And then if the other one goes up, then I get less of the one that went up, right? That seems like a bad deal. But so that's the situation there, is like, do I want to put this portion of my stack of crypto at risk? And remember, if both of these things go up at the same rate, or they go down at the same rate, it would be like if I was just holding both of them anyway. It's only when one goes up and one goes down that you're getting a worse deal liquidity providing, in kind of in my opinion. And then the rewards, I mean, it varies greatly. And you could wake up one morning and you're not getting the incentive anymore. And then whenever a liquidity farm gets pulled, that's when people might be selling that token. Like, for example, just how we saw wrapped Bitcoin like was wildly overpriced when the farm first started. I would be suspicious that wrapped Bitcoin might sell on the Pulse chain side at a huge discount if the farm got ended suddenly. And so for me, I would check the price on both chains, and I would make sure that I'm not selling at a 20% discount, because people are too lazy to go check the price on the Ethereum side. And if there was a big difference there, then I would bridge my wrapped Bitcoin over to the Ethereum side. But hey, I didn't know that much about yield farming, liquidity providing a week ago. I had played with it a little bit here and there, mostly on these smaller chains. But hey, I still like the strategy of focusing on Hex, focusing on Pulse and PulseX, buying dips. And if it goes up a lot, then you sell a little bit so that you can buy the next dip, that sort of thing. I think that is a wildly better strategy than trying to play these farms. I mean, you can already tell not everybody's profiting from these farms, and some people don't even know it yet because they're not measuring their impermanent loss. For me, I don't know how it's gonna end. I don't know how the story is gonna end, but I can tell you, I'm not putting in more than I'm willing to lose. Can you explain all the tokenomics for Inc? What I said earlier, I think incentive token is created out of thin air, 3 for every second that passes. And so I was saying on Game Theory Gang, that's a really fast inflation rate. Um, and so, in the first week, you have a certain number of tokens that are created. And then a week later, you have twice as many that are on the market. And then 2 weeks after that, you have twice as many that are on the market. And then a month after that, you have twice as many, right? Um, but hey, there are meme coins that have no utility, that don't bring any value into the ecosystem. that people are, they're willing to sacrifice their hard-earned dollars for. And so if your inflation rate, if the amount of people selling is, if it's lower than the amount of people buying, then the price can go up. If you have more demand than you do supply, the price can go up. And it's up to the people who are providing liquidity, whether they want to sell their ink token or whether they want to put it in their wallet and then just look at it, right? That's my new saying for cryptocurrency is like, what is it? What can you do with it? You can put it you can put it in your wallet and you can admire it and you can look at it and be like, oh, how cool is it that I've got that number on my screen, right? And this is like all of money is a meme. At the end of the day, it's the shared fiction of the humans that are using it for accounting and believing in it. And so, there's this illusion that the dollar, has a pretty good history of like going down over time, but being at least good enough that people use it compared to other fiat currencies. So, the economics and tokenomics, all this stuff is, it's a lot to handle, and a lot of new people are like, "What? Why does crypto have value?" And it's like, well, supply and demand, right? It's crypto has different tokenomics than fiat. What's going on, Schwa? 10 installs. Hey, any update on Time Pays Me? No rush, just wondering. Thanks. I think you may have asked this before I gave the update, and so you can scroll back in time or stay tuned. Time Pays Me is looking great. I So I think we could have launched it already. However, I wanted to add something called a behavior lock. And this is something I've been dreaming about for 5 years in cryptocurrency, is to be able to pay yourself to change your behavior. And once you see it in action, I'm going to make demo videos and I think you're going to love it. You don't have to do a behavior lock when you use Time Pays Me. Time Pays Me is a utility. It's not a coin. It's not a sacrifice. It's a crypto utility, and it allows you to time lock any ERC or PRC20 token or any native coin of Ethereum or Pulse chain. And you can time lock for 0 to 55 years. And normally it'll drip back to you, like based on the amount of time that you've served is the percent of coins that drip back to you. So if you time lock your Pulse, if you time lock your Pulse chain coins for a year, maybe you lock up some of them, then every week you can withdraw 2% because a week is 2% of a year. Same thing for 10 years and move the decimal place. So like 1 week is 0.2% of 10 years. And so this will give you kind of like the superpower that you have in Hex to it's like a HODL smart contract, right? So that's pretty cool. And then there's this other really awesome feature where you can kind of undo a hack. And the way that that works is you can set up a second seed phrase that you self-custody. And so that's really cool. So if you're clicking on links and then there's something that is trying to steal your crypto, the hacker is going to have to wait 7 days from the time they tell the blockchain, hey, I want to move this crypto to another wallet to withdraw from the smart vault that you hold. And if you've set up your second seed phrase, then you'll get a then you might find that you're able to be notified, or you check and you see somebody's trying to withdraw your drip. Well, and then you can steal back ownership of the vault by changing the permissions to the second seed phrase. And it's so cool. I can't wait for you to see it. It's working beautifully on testnet, and it's just amazing. And I forgot to mention another cool feature is that you can do a hard lock. And so a hard lock is where you can specify the amount of time and then there's no drip and it just comes out at some future date. The cool thing about having a drip is that it's like having a continuous staking ladder to where you can always be getting that reward from it's like a weekly paycheck almost of getting your own crypto dripped back to you. Now, there's no incentive associated with this other than the knowledge that people who hold longer, if they're holding the right thing, they end up doing better. And in cryptocurrency, that's magnified because people who bought Bitcoin at 6 cents, they were tempted to sell it at 30 cents. And there's one person in particular who actually did that. Um, this gives you the superpower of being able to hodl for the exact amount of time that you're wanting. And doing a hard lock makes a lot of sense with like Ethereum because maybe you want to pay your gas fees in the future for some hex stakes that you made. So that's pretty cool. There's so many cool things about time pays me. And then the behavior lock that's separate. You don't have to do that, but it's a feature that some people may use. You can write onto the blockchain 31 character goal. Maybe you want to quit smoking, quit drinking, wake up at a certain time in the morning, right? And so you type out your goal on the blockchain and it spits out a password. Or like you have the ability to send someone a password. And that's the person who's going to validate your behavior. And it might be like your partner or your doctor or your therapist or like a friend, right? It could be anybody. And uh, once and you decide how much money you want to lock up. So let's say you want to quit smoking, you want to pay yourself $2,000 to quit after 3 months. And so you put the $2,000 worth of pulse or whatever coin you want to lock, you put that in there, and then you get the password to the person who's going to verify that you haven't been smoking. And then um, um, and then like if that person verifies, hey, in the first month you kept smoking, but then you spent 3 months in a row not smoking, then they give you the password back and it unlocks your funds right away. If you don't change your behavior or if the person like runs away with the password, they can't use it to get your funds, so that's fine. But then after a year, the lock can be ended. So you don't need the password after a year, and that's a non-negotiable parameter because we wanted that to be your fail-safe. So lots of really cool stuff, and I hope that this gives people more reasons to want to use crypto because it's safer, it's more secure, and you can change your behavior by having a savings plan for the future where you drip your crypto back to yourself, and you can even change your behavior if you want to. If you're uh, even if you're a billionaire, and you want to reach some behavior goal, you could do that. All the cool kids are ink farming, says Russ. There you go. I heard that ink holders may get certain incentives at a later date, such as airdrops, etc. Is this true? I don't know where you heard that. I haven't heard that. I love airdrops. Um, and pretty much anybody can do an airdrop if you've got a coin on a public blockchain. So how cool would that be? And how not cool would it be if people were starting, like if there was a rumor of that and then you held the incentive token and the value went down and down and down forever? That would suck. What if, but I got, and then maybe it wasn't true. Who knows? I mean, with airdrops, it really helps if nobody's expecting them because then it's not wrapped up in securities laws and stuff. Like, is what I've heard, and that's not legal advice. Nice explanation. Thanks. Pretty sure it's all speculation at this stage. On average, how many hours do you sleep? It's a funny question, yet curious. We appreciate you having you on screen streaming in our home. Thanks. I sometimes sleep better than other times. Lately, I've only been getting about 6 or 7 hours of sleep per night, which is below what I need. So I actually took a nap before this stream, which is pretty rare for me, but I'm doing everything that I can to try to help my broken bone heal, my broken clavicle. So I'm working on my sleep a little bit more than usual. And I really like getting a full 8 hours, and that's historically been perfect for me. There were times in my life where I had perfect sleep, even if it was rare. It was like when I could exercise with the broken clavicle, it's hard. But I've noticed myself that practicing what I preach with like how I teach people how to change their behaviors. When I worked as a therapist for 7 years, when I worked as a neuroscientist for the 7 years before that. So and all these things, all these health behaviors seem to be interrelated. When I slept better, I had more energy to exercise. When I exercise, I have more ability to sleep better. So that's a cycle that can either be a spiral downward or a spiral upward. Um, and then when you sleep better, then you metabolize things differently. You have a different amount of stress hormones that are floating through your body. And so it can really change how you feel and how you act and all these things. So I ended up losing weight and having much better health whenever I was sleeping better and exercising more. Speaking of sleep, I think the consensus is Sami doesn't. Well, Sami's putting in lots of really great work and he has great insights. He has videos that come out like 3 or 4 times a day. And so people should definitely check those out. Oh no, your stream is pumping ink. I doubt that. I doubt that. Um, I think that we always look for a reason why something's pumping or dumping. And at the end of the day, uh, I don't even think I've really said that many good things about it. I just said I was trying it out. And at the end of the day, it's all about supply and demand. Well, I know if Sami does sleep, it's with fluffy PLS slippers. Yeah, when is somebody gonna make fluffy slippers and sell them with pulse chain logos and incentive logos on them? Huh? We have 241 people watching. We have thousands watching on the replay. Hit the like and subscribe button. Leave a comment in the live stream or in the in the chat if you think we need Hex and Pulse Chain branded fluffy slippers in Sami's honor. There you go. Oh, by the way, I have busted my butt to put super helpful links in the description below. So, uh, you know, get out if you're not going to check those. I, all of my favorite links for where I can go to learn about this ecosystem, to monitor the prices. It might be PLS burn. Let's go through the list of all the things I've added in here for your benefit that I fear you might not see because you don't tap the description below in YouTube. Okay, it's you can buy a Trezor with my link. That it costs you the same amount of money to get a hardware wallet as buying it from the company, and you're still buying it from the company, but I'm getting like a 15% commission. So how cool is that that you're supporting the channel by buying a hardware wallet? I bought several hardware wallets because I want to give them to the people who I've onboarded, and I want to have multiple ones myself. So uh, get your Trezor hardware wallet in the description below. But look, we got the pulsechain.com link, lightbeam.xyz, prc20s.com, plsburn.com, hexdailystats.com, fatty, phatty.io. And here's a good one, accruedinc.com. ACCRUEDINC.com. Great stuff. Great stuff. Pat myself on the back there. Cool. Just don't use your whole bag for liquidity farming. Great idea. Sub crypto compassion. Here's a trick question I have for people. Are you more of an eHex or hex on hex on pulsex chart user, or eHex pHex on Ethereum chart user for DEX screener? That's a great question. I've been trying to check the price less, so I'm none of the above. So good trick question, Ash. When is Richard Hart going to stream? No Name Pleb says best time to get in yield farming is at the start of chains. If it works out, you can get your bag back, then make fees almost indefinitely from profits. That'd be cool. I've been scaling into the farms, says MT Corner, converting ink into stable for now. So far, the ink gains have provided about 3 times as much as my worst day of impermanent loss. Currently, no impermanent loss. Hey, congrats. I'm glad to hear that you shared your experience. If I leave my farm position for years, how much could I really lose? Both sides are gold. Interesting. Well, remember, the farm incentives don't always last for years, do they? But I guess you just transition into only getting the fees from the liquidity providing fees themselves. So yeah, great point there. Motto_hexer. No Name Pleb speaking to MT Corner. Should seriously consider swapping some stables in PLS or PLSX. These dips are literally less than pennies. In a few months, we will look back. We will all look back and laugh. That's an interesting point. I'm not sure if this is what you're saying or if I'm just throwing in a new idea here, but we don't have limit orders. But I guess if you're in a pool that has stables and Pulse or PulseX, I guess if the price of PulseX goes down, then you're buying. If you remove that, that's kind of like having a limit order set. Interesting. What's up, Daraj? Good to see you there. See, I never liked Hex on ETHW and ETHFair, so I never touched them, even though everyone wanted to and raved about it. Yeah, well, sometimes when you buy Hex on a different chain, it doesn't work out. Sometimes it does. So far, we have 2 parallel universes, both with good. Kirk. Transaction fees were super low on ETHW and ETHFair. That's right, Prosology. I forgot about those chains. I have to check and see if I can get some tokens there. Yeah. Well, and if you're like me, you need to make sure that if you staked, then you don't let your stakes bleed out over there. That's the least you can do, now that you know how to use another chain, like, yeah, why not maintain your stakes over there? It's not going to cost you much. What up, y'all? Blue collar grunt. I don't know why people who are into the ink are degens. Oh, why people say that people who are into ink are degens. Richard said to use testnet to see what your strategies are. TS for the ink shot to 1500. Like transactions. Transaction fees on ETH were less than a penny for over a year. PLS is already more than that on average. What do you think happens to the price of PLS gas fees in a few years once it 10x or 1000x's? Good question. What's up, Toblerone? I don't know why people are saying ink heads are degens. Okay, retyped out. In testnet 4, Inc. shot to $15,000. Oh yeah, good point. Testnet is really not showing what's happening in reality now, but you never know. Wasn't eHex and pHex like multiple dollars? The Richard Hart ecosystem is bounded by the liquidity pairs, Hart's law. eHex will bounce hard to the upside. RH just got rid of so many lettuce hands, he never fails to impress. That's a great point, Ocean Breeze. Yeah, like when has buying the dip in Hex like not worked out on a long enough timeline? Failure of OG Hex is no option. Richard Hart created this product, folks. Track record is a resume that can't be ignored. A lot of people sold their Hex for Pulse. Hey team. F Eric Wall. Mick, hey Maddie, thanks for your words in the community. My pleasure. Eliza Barnley. Richard also trying to kill eHex. He removed all the eHex farms but kept the pHex farm. He is showing favoritism. That's an interesting theory. Look, people are going to argue this one out. It all comes down to social consensus. What do people want to buy? What do people want to sell? What do people want to hold? You know, I think we can see the farms change from day to day, and that's one thing that I've heard people observe is that the farms can change, and that's the message. But we'll see. You know, I don't think Hex needs farms to succeed. Thanks, Maddie, for all your hard work. You did an amazing job. Any merch left over? Love the hat. Get some rest. Absolutely. I'll let people know if there's extra merch. For now, I'm just trying to figure out the people who couldn't make it, who paid for their merch. I want to give it to them. The shirts were so expensive that I wasn't able to order a bunch of extras. The eHex pHex ratio was holding well while the farm was active. Good point. Hey, Maddie, hope all is well. Do you know of a way to get PLS and PLSX off MetaMask and onto cold storage? So you can set up a Trezor hardware wallet using the 24 words on the device itself. Like you're creating the words on the device. And that's considered a type of cold storage. Then you can connect that to your MetaMask in kind of a weird way because MetaMask still makes you like set up an account, but then you connect your hardware wallet. And so then you just don't use the account that you set up. The 12 words are not used because you're using your account with the 24 words. And then the addresses that you pull through your MetaMask from your Trezor, those are the addresses that represent your cold storage, but you can still do sending and receiving of coins that aren't supported by the hardware wallet software itself. So it's people using a combination of a Trezor and MetaMask. Also remember that people can migrate your MetaMask seed words to Trezor, and that's not the same thing as having cold storage. I consider cold storage meaning that you created your seed words not on MetaMask. You created them on the hardware device itself that's not connected to the internet. Even though it's plugged into your computer, it's got a separate chip, and the chip like is making sure that it's not communicating to the computer or to the internet what you want to keep private. And look, another plug for hardware wallet is there's a computer virus out there that can steal your MetaMask seed words if they're not protected. So I'm gonna drop the link here again, so you can all go out and buy a Trezor if you don't have one. But yeah, it's the best practice to use a hardware wallet, which is one form of cold storage. Now, the difference between like cold storage is like if you really want it to be cold, is like you're not even clicking on links, and then you're not connecting to dApps, even with your hardware wallet, and then pressing buttons on the hardware wallet if you don't understand what you're signing, because that's another way you can get rinsed. So, but look, time pays me is going to help with that because it's like almost giving you an extra life. As long as you don't share your 24 words seed phrase, it's like if you do something wrong and you get hacked, then you still have your second seed phrase protecting you. So crypto is just, I hope, going to keep getting better and better and not worse. So yeah, having an extra layer of protection is going to be really great. Wonder how low we will see eHex go. I'm still buying up 100%. There you go. What's up, Maddie? Good to see you. A long, long day ago. Hex is literally the greatest of all time. No exaggerating, says Optimality. I'm still like 45 minutes behind. You all have a lot of comments here, and I'm loving it. I remember when when ETHW Hex pumped insanely hard, so I expected people to make a lot of X's on eHex, but if it's anything like the outcome of ETHW, it did not end well on a long-term horizon. Well, that's a totally different situation, I think, in retrospect, because it didn't have social consensus and there was little incentive for both chains to be supported. I don't know. It's not that different, and I'm still surprised that ETHW and ETHFair didn't do better, but hey, I can be wrong sometimes, and I proved it by putting my real money in there and then watching it vanish. My PLS LP is still in profit. It's in permanent profit. There you go, Duraj. This was the inspiration for the Hex logo. Okay, I can't see what you're pointing to, but never thought of that almost round but hexagonal. Yeah, checking out the sci-fi book for sure. And there's an audio version by a wild SJ on YouTube for free. Or t.me/sci-vive. I'll put the link in the description below. t.me/SCIVIVE. All right. And people are going to Twitter and they're hitting the like and retweet button so that we can get the word out about Pulse and PulseX and Hex on both chains. Why not? Yeah, but where's RH? Well, it seems like he's tweeting and putting out lots of information on Telegram. He hasn't live streamed yet. I think we would all love it if he did, but no expectations from the work of others. Yay. RH doesn't need to do anything. He can take a rest now. I say let the eHex and pHex farm play out and let the game theory chips fall where they may. Eventually, free market will find equilibrium in the ending of long-term hex stakes will win from all the EES. RH will launch that at the right time, probably referring to the single-sided staking that I was talking about like 40 minutes ago. It's too early to complain or to see profit. Patience. Gonna lock up loads of PLX supply. LP comes with impermanent loss. What's up, Hexicans, Pulsicans, Pulsexicans? Anyone else miss the eHex, pHex farm? I think a lot of people are missing it. Providing liquidity basically means you're putting your coins up for sale. So don't get sad if your coins get sold. Yeah, I mean, it's even under the trading tab on PulseX, not under the farming tab or whatever. Looking for a tutorial of how to transfer Hex stake from Ledger to Trezor. You can migrate it, but you can't like transfer it. You could ask in the Twitter Spaces, twitter.com/hex all day, or speak to Papa Boehner. These people shading eHex crack me up. Maddie, my man. Hart's Law, they all get bonded. Winky face. Bristology, doesn't that mean they get sold? Sorry, John Smith is saying to Bristology, doesn't that mean they get sold? They just get swapped from one side to the other until you only have one side left, which is now doubling the starting size. What's your opinion on eHex versus pHex? Why are people trying to devalue eHex? I think people want to play a short-term game, and so they're stressing about the difference in the price. And these are reflexive systems. So if the value goes down on one side, then it can go down even more because people start freaking out. But then other people are going to come in and see the opportunity. Sometimes. Any update on your project? I gave 2 great updates on the project, and I was pretty thorough. Going into a second audit because I changed some things that are going to make it perfect, in my opinion. And the things that were changed, like the programmers and developers, like have done an awesome job. They're crushing it. I'm like super impressed with the people I'm working with, and I can't wait to show you what we have. Um, it's getting there for sure. Time pays me. You can learn more at t.me/time pays me. I'm gonna drop the link, and that's where I post like less frequently, but like all the important stuff. And then if you want to see my Telegram, where I'm posting like once a day or twice a day, like so you can keep up to speed with everything I'm thinking and doing, t.me/smartvaultme, which is the old name of the project. Just like Hex used to be called Bitcoin Hex. Before that, it was called like Fluid Dynamic Token or something. With Hex from Ethereum, Hex LP farm closed. It no longer pays me any ink and is obviously still subject to impermanent loss with no rewards. Is there a potential farm that is ultimately reinstated? We don't know if the farm will be reinstated. You do get rewards from the volume that gets traded through your pair. So you're still earning liquidity provider fees. You're just not earning the bonus incentive token on top of that, which does change the equation of what the risk is for your impermanent loss. So there you go. You should remove your LP from the farm if it's closed. It says no name pleb. Bid Moon, thanks for the 199 super chat. How many pulls to retire hypothetically, of course? I don't know. Depends where you live. Depends what your lifestyle is. Depends on your age. Depends on a lot of things. The way that I think about crypto is when I sell some of my crypto, then I want to know how much of a runway does that give me. So like if I'm spending a certain number of dollars per month or per year, then I can calculate the amount that I've cashed out. How long do I think that's going to last me, accounting for inflation and stuff. So for me, I'm happy with a 1 to 2 year runway at this point in my life where I'm happy and I can go back to work if the crypto thing doesn't work out. Of course, I think the crypto thing will work out, which is why I'm all in. Although that's not right for everybody, and this is not financial advice, and I wasn't all in the beginning, but my crypto bags did so well that it effectively put me all in, which is way different than making an impulsive decision to go all in, isn't it? Gold and silver is the only pure money that fits all definitions of money. Crypto is great, but you can create infinite versions, says John Smith. That's right. That's one of the trade-offs. No name pleb, 59 cents. 2,000 to 4,000 PLS is not cheaper. Imagine PLS reaching 50 cents. Now these transactions cost the noobs 1K per transaction. Yeah, you'd probably have to fork the chain if it was costing $1,000 per transaction. That's why RH said daily traders will lose, lock up, and walk away for a few years. It's good advice if you pick the right thing. Okay, people having a precious metals debate. I did some napkin math, and I'm making about 10 PLS per second in ink at current rates. Feels good, says MT Corner. These rates won't last forever, but it feels good to be getting rewards now, doesn't it? Maddie is like a crypto saint. He chooses to bring us all good vibes. I'm glad you think so, Randolph. Crypto is easy. Buy good crypto cheap and have a coma for 2 years. That's right. But where's RH? Well, I said that before. It's been asked and answered already. Hi, I'm not panicking about price volatility, just worried about end of eHex farms, frowny face. Please help. Should I swap my eHex into pHex and farm it? Question mark. Trade is not great. Each 100K of my eHex, they're giving me 80,000 pHex right now. Not sure if I should wait or swap and farm. Thanks in advance. Your friend Sami made a video about this earlier today. I'll defer to that one. It's about 20 minutes, and he gave his opinion on that. For me, I don't know what you should do. I don't know what this is going to do in the short term. Um, I I don't like impermanent loss. I've opened up part of my bag, a small portion of my bag to impermanent loss, but I still think it could turn out badly. And I've positioned myself so that if it turns out badly, I'm not going to be upset because I'm accepting the risk that I take. And if you don't know enough to be okay with any outcome, then you might be risking more than you can really afford to risk. Because you got to value this stuff in crypto terms too, not just in dollar terms. And I've never been good at trading. That's not what I do. I like to pick good things and buy the dips, and then sell if it goes up a lot, and time locking. Like that's my thing. I like to time lock. What are your thoughts on eHex versus Hex? I'm seeing arguments for both sides. So I think eHex will fail as every coin that forks fails. Some say it won't because of the T-share system. Any in-depth thought? Yeah, I think the T-share system has a lot of people locked in to be wanting to keep eHex going. I think we're going to have to wait and see how the social consensus plays out. I agree that forked coins, I said that earlier, forked coins usually don't perform well on both sides of the fork. eHex and pHex are the same thing. Why eHex will fail? They're not the same thing. They're only the same thing if we choose to make them the same by bonding the liquidity together. Otherwise, Ethereum Fair and Ethereum Proof of W, the versions of Hex over there would be doing super well. Now, you could say that those are more different than our Ethereum 2.0 counterparts, but even the two proof of work chains are performing differently from each other, I believe. Although I haven't looked in a long time, so maybe I shouldn't speak to that. I think eHex will stick around, but I'm not willing to bet the farm on it. No pun intended. Like I like having both. I like having them in equal parts. Of course, I'm biased and, like, I think because pHex is a little bit more expensive, like, yeah, like, that seems cool to me, but again, normally I have to tell myself, like, "Buy the dip," but also buy the right thing, and for me right now, like, I like Pulse X. I've already got lots of hex on both sides, and that's not gonna change. Um, I like Pulse. I like Pulse and Pulse X, and I like Hex, eHex, and pHex both. Yeah, many people have staking ladders. Whichever hex is failing is the one I'm buying. There you go. Buy the dip. Doubled my bag at 1.5 cents. Let's go. I can already see it. Baby ink gonna get airdropped to ink holders. LOL. I have a staking ladder as well, but some are saying there's no point on having hex on a failed ETH chain. I don't think ETH has failed yet. And if a Pulse chain becomes super popular, then the fees on Ethereum could go down. It just depends. Look, we're in the first inning, everybody. We're like in the warm up round of everything because there aren't even centralized exchanges that have like allowed people to flood in. Remember, you can't do any transactions if you don't have Pulse. So the nightclub still has a huge line outside, and the line isn't getting any smaller. Okay. People will still be, you know, incentivized to come play with their free copies, but people can't play with their free copies yet. So that's going to make them want to buy a Pulse on exchange. I would imagine. Yeah, wait for the next RH stream. That'll be cool. Everything is pumping right now. Well, you're welcome, Bristology. Glad I could be of service tonight. What do you mean it when the eHex and pHex farm ends? Do you just keep the LP staked to avoid impermanent loss? That's I don't know how much you understand. It's unclear from your question. That could be a really deep question or a really like beginner question. The the incentive rewards ended. They could be turned off or turned on at any time for any incentive pair. If you keep the LP staked, do you avoid impermanent loss? It depends like whether you define the impermanent loss as something that's happening along the way or only when you end and pull your liquidity. For example, if like the ratio changed and then it went back, then you avoid the impermanent loss, I guess, by waiting for them to go back to where the ratio that you started. Um, but yeah, it just depends if you think they're going to go back or not. What's up, Frank? I looked into it, buying an embroidery machine a couple years ago. What are you guys talking about in the chat? What did I miss? I'm so confused. Neither hex is failing, says Daraj. Price going down is normal after a news event. The people who are saying eHex is failing are the ones who want to shake you out of the market. Hex Glenn, what's up? Some OG donate me eHex with emergency end stake. Thank you. Yeah, there you go. If the farm finishes, do I lose my money? No, you do not. It can be a little bit hard to see where it went. You have to go to the tab that says finished farms. It gets moved over to the finished tab, and then you end it, and then you're like, well, where are my LP tokens at? And then you have to go hunt down your LP tokens from the liquidity providing tab that's like in a different section of PulseX. It was confusing for me. I found it. I got my coins out. It's all there. You didn't lose your money in terms of still having the LP token that you can redeem for the eHex and pHex that goes back into your wallet. Don't worry about that. I've been thinking about it like this, says MT Coiner. I can buy $100 of ETH per week to scale into Pulse Chain, or I can yield farm several hundreds per week and buy RH products and save my fiat altogether. You still earn exchange fees, even though the farm ends, just no more incentive timing. RH removed farms for eHex, pHex, so people don't wreck themselves by emergency end staking. That's one theory. Like the guy that ended 1.5 million after 15 days in stake and took to Pulse Chain. Ash says divorces are hard. Kids don't like to say their parents broke up. I get it. On the bright side, the divorce lawyers, real estate agents, brokers, and so on make a lot off of it until nothing's left. Referring to the fork, I believe. Did a payday for all of us. That's my situation. I had eHex staked to there, Hex to Hex, and eHex to PLS. Now eHex farms are closed, so I'm wondering what to do with eHex. People saying it's going to go to 0, other people saying hold home. Maddie Allen saying buy a Trezor using my link. Papa B listening carefully. That's right. I ordered my Trezor through your link. I just got it in less than 3 days, free shipping. Thanks. Hey, that's so cool to hear. Renee Franco, thanks for using my link. I appreciate it. Thanks for supporting the channel. We are in a bear market for another year. People are just emotional. Don't let others talk in your ear or type in your eye. Stake and stop chasing momentary indulgence. From Mech Mobile. Maverick, we need to make a staking club for PLS, similar to the 555 club with hexagons. Yeah, that's what timepays.me is all about. It's my time locking protocol for Pulse Chain and PulseX and lots of other coins. So definitely check that out. You can join the Telegram and stay in tune with what's going on. Yellowtail, Maddie always making me feel safe. Well, hey, I appreciate you all showing up because this is the 130th Thursday in a row that I've been streaming here on YouTube about Hex and other Richard Hart products now. So thanks for being here. My PLS sacrifice allowed me to buy back a huge Hex bag with a portion of it. Now I have more T-shares on a much better chain. Well done, sir. Cleveland, Ohio. What's the site to stake my Hex is best? I have a front end for staking Hex that works on Pulse Chain now. It is called go.tshare.app. For some people, they have to click around and hit refresh to get go.hex.com to work. Other people go to other websites, but I like go.tshare.app. Check it out if you've never checked it out. It's a really great site. It does require you to connect read-only. Does Trezor support PLS and PLSX? Not on their native app, but like I said earlier, you can connect your Trezor through MetaMask, which is different than just migrating your seed to there, although that is also an option. That's at the end of the day, that's why I have multiple Trezors, is I've got some accounts that have staked Hex that I had to migrate, and then I want to create the fresh seed words that are generated on the hardware device. Moving forward, it makes sense to have multiple seed phrases that spread your risk that way. Howard, thanks for being a supporter of the channel by having a monthly subscription. Appreciate it. I think RH gets a body transformation, working out and such, and then he comes back. Thoughts on Richard pumping eHex later sometime with logic or tweets? Don't know. Good to talk about potential PTSD. Are you talking about like of markets, of being in crypto and having the ups and downs being traumatic? That certainly could be a thing. Have you got a website for your project? No, I don't. I have a Twitter and a Telegram and a bunch of other socials, but I didn't want to lay out the game theory for one person to come along and steal. I have explained it from time to time on my YouTube channel, and you're going to get to see it in action. You will be able to use it on the testnet and on the mainnet in some period of time that is coming up in the future. How about that? But yeah, there's no great place to go see the final game theory on it summarized, just because I didn't want to release it that way. But there is t.me/time pays me and t.me/smart vault me. Devs really need to show earned fees on our liquidity. That would be cool. Got me a white treasure through your link. Let's go. Hey, thanks for that. Skunkoshi? Sorry if I said that wrong. Somebody should develop a protocol to stake eHex on Pulse Chain. You can do that with Maximus DAO tokens. Maxi and Deci. Yeah. Good idea. Without sounding condescending, I'm proud of you. Thanks, Howard. Appreciate it. Pulse Chain merchandise recommendations, question mark. Depends on your operational security. Anytime you order merch, somebody gets your address and then it could be leaked someday. And if Pulse Chain is like worth as much as Bitcoin and people go back and look at your home address, that would be bad. So sorry that's the way it is. You can get some merch, I believe, on Amazon. There are community websites that are built for this. I really like giving out merch at meetups because then you don't have to give up your address. It's really cool. That's my solution to the problem, but you can check out your own. Diraj is saying hexmerch.com and Suzanne Art on Twitter. Great. You can buy pHex and get T-shares already, right? Yes. Yeah, you can stake pHex and get T-shares. I thought we were in a spaceship, but it seems more like a submarine today. That's hilarious. Ecstatic guy. Child support is still good in divorces, so it's not terrible, but it's the same as being married. LOL. Hex on Polygon seems to correlate with eHex. Can you explain that, Maddie? I do not know, so I'm sorry to say I can't report on it. It's somebody saying it's wrapped eHex. There you go. Beautifully said. We are still in the first inning. Thanks, Maddie. Absolutely. Hi, can you contact with RH? I have bug to report. It might be nothing or it could be something. What's the bug? Why don't you tag one of the devs on Twitter or talk about it in the Telegram? Pulse Chain Com, or talk about it when I'm not wrapping up my stream, like in the live stream comments when I'm going through the comments. Come and swim with the whales, look out for the green candles. Impermanent loss is relative. If you're in a PLSX and PLS farm and you end up with substantially more PLS than PLSX because PLS went down a lot, is that really a bad thing if you know they will both pump? Fair point. The impermanent loss happens with the LP tokens, not with the pools. The weak hands will sink in their Lambos or wrap them around a pole. I just can't see how eHex failing or getting thrown out the bus can in any way benefit our network or future growth. Guys, watch the Find Matic YouTube channel to understand impermanent loss. It is not really a boogeyman that it's portrayed as. That's right. I've recommended that myself. It's youtube.com Find Matic impermanent loss. I will link the video because it's that good. I love this. It's a 10-minute explainer. Really well done. Just dropped it in the live chat. eHex will continue. Pulsicans won't let it just die. ETH side could turn to be less volatile, store of value to all the OGs. Like I mentioned, impermanent loss in pairs that both will pump is irrelevant. Hope says, doesn't mean your smart contract will be in usually controlled like a wallet. Is it an extension or as a mobile desktop app? I hope there will be no stacks or token for it. And how much is the fee to use it? There's no sacrifice. There's no token. The fee to use it is 0.1% every time you start a lock. It is self-custody. It's not a wallet. It's a smart contract that creates an address inside of your address. And so you can access it from your MetaMask. You can set up a second seed phrase with your hardware wallet. Great questions. Do the coins move to the smart contract or do they stay in the individual wallet? So the smart contract is held in your wallet, and then the coins can go into that smart contract. One way to think about it is it's like holding LP tokens, because when you have an LP position, it's actually a smart contract that you're creating from a smart contract factory. That's what it means to do this yield farming stuff, is you have these LP tokens that are a smart contract within your address. Time Pays Me uses a smart contract factory so that you can create your own smart contract within your address. There's some other like really cool stuff that I'll explain in the future once you can see it. But yeah, don't want to get too confusing all at once. If eHex goes to 50% of pHex, then I will double my bag of eHex. Let's go. It's all fake, only Monero. Not because the government makes fees and you will lose constantly while trading. Morgan, hi Maddie. If you only stake 50% LP, does the other 50% make more fees on liquidity? I'm not sure I understand your question. If you only stake 50% LP, I think so you only make fees on the coins that you put up into the liquidity pool, and that opens you up to impermanent loss. But you can watch the video that I just linked to explain what impermanent loss is, and maybe that'll be helpful to understand what you're getting in the fees. And like I said, that's a 10-minute video. I've watched it multiple times. It's really helpful, by the Find Maddox channel. Thinking about a 5555 or for 205.5555 shares, worth it? Question mark. I mean, that's a really long stake. Are you willing to do the time? Only time will tell, as Daraj says. Thanks for all your work, man. You're definitely a pillar of this RH community. Thanks, Hexacorn. Cool name. You get diluted a lot more over time on pHex if shit happens. I don't know if that's true. It's hard to contact the team. Yeah, I don't know what the bug is. There's lots of people using it, and they might find it anyway, but you have more details, then explain it. Oh, about the bridge. Huh. I don't know. Keep asking and making noise. Maybe you'll find. Maybe you'll get the word through to the team. All right, it looks like I pretty much caught up here and almost at the end of 2 hours. So I appreciate everybody being here. Hit the like and subscribe button. Thanks for watching on the replay. Check out Time Pays Me on Twitter and Telegram. Check out my link in the description below to get a Trezor hardware wallet. Tune in every Tuesday and Thursday night for more Game Theory Gang and Hex Therapy Live. You can go to allmylinks.com/allin to look at all the links I've been collecting for the past few years. And definitely go to the links in the description below because that's got all the freshest ones for the pulse chain ecosystem like prc20s.com, accruedinc.com, fatty.io, hexdailystats.com. I might have typoed that. It's supposed to be hexdailystats.com, plsburn.com, and all that good stuff. So check all those links out. Let's see. Stake wisely, my friends. And until next time, peace out. And until next time, peace out.